Okay, good morning and welcome to our Genesis Client Services webinar. My name's Amber Neely and I'm the Assistant Clinical Director here at Genesis, and I'm joined with Charlotte Weatherford and Jordan Gates. They're both women and children's therapists. We're having some technical issues today, so we're not, Charlotte and I don't have a video up, but you'll just have to hear our voices. So we're going to talk more today about when dad hurts mom. Before we get to that, I just want to go through some of our housekeeping items. So remember that this presentation is for educational purposes only. And so as we're going through different examples and scenarios, please consider your own situation and safety before putting into practice any of these ideas. With safety in mind, make sure that you're watching your webinar in a safe place where only safe people can hear you. This might mean that you're using headphones to ensure that no one else can hear what you're watching. And also remember to clear your browser history after watching this video if you're concerned that somebody's monitoring your phone or computer. In addition, if you need to leave the Zoom webinar quickly, you'll need to click end meeting, and then you'll have to close out the Zoom page. With regards to confidentiality, we just ask that you don't use the chat feature if you're watching with us live on Zoom. We ask this because if you do use that chat feature, your name and comment will be seen by anyone who's watching the live video and the video recordings that we post on our YouTube channel. Same goes for the YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, we just ask that you don't leave any comments on that video recording. Again, your name and comment will be seen by anyone else who's watching the video. If you're needing some support, please give us a call. If you're in crisis or you need help with emergency safety planning or you're looking for emergency shelter, please call our 24-hour hotline at 214-946-4357. If you're interested in counseling with Genesis and you're not already you're not already signed up for counseling, please give us a call at 214-389-7700. And if you have any questions about anything that we're talking about in today's webinars or previous webinars that you've seen, our contact information will be at the end of this webinar. So again, we don't monitor any comments or questions left on YouTube, so please make sure you reach out to us directly. And then also we always want to leave hotline information. So as I said, the Genesis hotline is there. And then we also have the National Domestic Violence Hotline. And we also have the National Suicide Hotline. We know that domestic violence can lead to really feeling hopeless and overwhelmed and sometimes having some suicidal thoughts. So if you're having any thoughts like that or thoughts about self-harm, please reach out to the National Suicide Hotline or either our hotline or the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Okay, so as we're continuing through Lundy Bancroft's book, When Dad Hurts Mom, we're talking about the chapter he wrote on making your way in the family court system. So just a refresher on this book and how this book can help you. This is what it looks like. You can easily find it on Amazon or like Barnes and Nobles. But this book can help with understanding the effects of domestic violence and help your children heal emotionally. It's good to help guide mothers in providing children with love, support, positive role models in the midst of domestic abuse, and increased understanding in the court system, which is what we're going to touch on today. And then just a reminder, we always want to do a little bit of a review about the impact of domestic violence, right? And so remember that domestic violence is the systematic diminishment of a woman in her home, right? So this is a pattern of coercive behaviors with the goal where the perpetrator is trying to maintain power and control over the victim. And so this can include verbal abuse, threats, humiliation, and it creates an atmosphere in which the mom is disrespected by dad and her voice is in a sense silenced. She's bullied or treated like a servant. This is really distressing to children and confusing for kids as well. If dad is treating the mom this way, then the message is that this is how the child should be treating the mom, which also leads then to tense relationships between mother and child. In addition, there can be some division that happens among siblings, right, that happens within the home. I'm going to let Jordan take over and talk about some of these barriers that moms face in the court system.
Hi, everybody, it's Jordan. So yes, as Amber said, I'm going to talk about some of the barriers that mothers face in the court system, some concerns and possible problems that mothers face when fighting for their children. And so oftentimes we know that lawyers and judges are getting more trainings on domestic violence, but we also know there are still uninformed lawyers out there and judges who do not understand the dynamics of domestic violence and abuse, which can definitely be a barrier for mothers if they don't understand how abuse impacts the family system, how domestic impacts children even after the parents are separated, right? And how abusive partners can still use those children as weapons, and how those children can still be in harm when they're with their father, even when the mother's not around. So this can definitely be a barrier. We also know that fathers, oftentimes abusive fathers in the court system, do not separate their own needs from their children. And so they don't even consider, right, that children being separated from their mother can cause a lot of harm to those children, or they're not reasonable with what visitations will look like. With what visitations will look like, and even sometimes they want to fight for full custody, right? And so that means they don't want the mother around at all, which can be a lot of harm for children. We also know that abusive partners within the separation and custody battle, they're still focused on power and control, and they're still focused on how can I control my ex-partner. And oftentimes when children are involved, right, they know that they can still affect the mother and control her through the children. We know oftentimes in the court system, judges will order co-parenting classes, even marriage classes. And so we know that abusive partners, right, when they're focused on power and control, they're not able to collaborate with the mother. They're not able to co-parent. And so this can be a big challenge for mothers when they have to do these classes with the father. And it can also put the mother in more danger, right, and create a lot of safety concerns. We also know that judges and lawyers to opposing lawyers can have strong opinions on the abuse allegations. And even when CPS is involved, right, and they investigate and say CPS doesn't take action, right, then the judge may assume, okay, if CPS is not taking action, then there's no abuse happening and the kids do not have any safety concerns moving forward. And so this, of course, can put the children in harm as well as the court proceedings move along. And it can also, right, judges can view if a mother makes the CPS report, right, that she's making the CPS report to make dad look bad. And so there's a lot of assumptions too that judges can have when making these decisions about custody. So now I'm going to turn it over to Charlotte, and she's going to talk about what you can do about all of these barriers.
Hey everyone, so Charlotte here. Just wanted to talk a little bit about what can you do when you are navigating yourself through the family court system. One thing to keep in mind is it's really important to document everything, to document any forms of verbal, emotional, physical, sexual abuse that you might be still experiencing from your abusive ex-partner, making sure that you document everything so that when you do go to court, you can prove the ongoing abuse. Be really specific, maybe writing down times, dates, quotes of exactly what was said during the outcry, and just being really specific about the perpetrator and what the details are of the abuse. Create a self-care plan for before, during, and after court. This is something that's really helpful to be thoughtful about. So what is your day, the day that you're going to court, what is that day going to look like? What time are you going? What can you do before you go into court to make sure that you're feeling calm and relaxed when you go in? What can you do during the court hearing that's going to help you to remain calm and to remain regulated, anticipating that there's going to be some stressful, it's going to be stressful. There's potentially going to be things that are said in court that maybe are not true or that are triggering. So what are some things that you can do to remain calm during that stressful experience? And then what can you do afterwards? What can you, some kind of self-care that you can look forward to, or some kind of plan that you can help to relax and calm down after such a stressful experience. Seek out legal help from lawyers that are educated on domestic violence. Like Jordan was mentioning, not all attorneys are completely fluent in the legal language of domestic violence and how these abuse dynamics play out. So calling a domestic violence agency such as Genesis for some guidance and for some help might be helpful. Another thing to keep in mind is to take care of yourself. Just ongoing self-care as you're going through this stressful time. Custody and divorce battles are emotionally difficult and it can be exhausting. So just making sure that you're finding time, even if it's 5 minutes a day or an hour a week, that you can do something for yourself. I think self-care as a parent is really important, and it's especially important when you're going through something like this. So just making sure that you're taking that time for yourself. And seek counseling if you're noticing that it's really impacting your mood and your functioning and if you're feeling like you're needing some extra support. And educate yourself. There's supervised visits, first unsupervised visits. What does that look like? What does that entail? What do you feel like would work best for your family? And really knowing your options that you can fight for and that you can advocate for yourself in the family court system. So just really knowing what your options are and considering all the safety concerns when deciding on things such as where transitions for children should take place. So this should be in public places. Oftentimes clients will make exchanges at the police station or in places where there's people and it's safest to make those exchanges. So just really being thoughtful about your safety plan as well. And just to remind yourself that this abuse is not your fault. You and your children deserve to live a life free of abuse that's safe. And we really appreciate you being here today and taking the time to listen to our presentation. And we thank you so much.
And remember, you've taken a really brave step towards healing every time that when you've reached out for help to Genesis, when you're watching these webinars, you're taking really brave steps. And we know this is a really difficult process. And so just want to share our contact information here. And so again, if you guys have any questions or concerns about anything we've talked about today, or if you need some support, please feel free to call myself, Charlotte, or Jordan, and we're happy to help you. Thanks so much for being here and joining our webinar today.